All right, welcome to Alchemizing Energy. We have a special guest tonight. Her name is Fundi Fe, and we are going to be discussing Islamic Taoism. Um, Thank you for joining in, and let's get this show started.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.
Welcome to Alchemizing Energy with our special guest Fundi Fe. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am here.
Wow, it's so nice to see you. So I've actually ran into you on various other platforms. You're not only just a master um, of your craft, but you also are but into like was it farming or horticulture?
Yes.
Horticulturist. It would it be called what is it called? Composting? Would you say that
Yes.
you were composting? In
Yes.
a lot of like natural living ways, you have your own wine that you create. Do you create that from your garden, or do you just generally at this point you're like just distributing it?
It's created from the and foraged materials around the city. Some people send me, I got Georgia peaches last year from somebody that was like, I just want you to make a wine out of them. So, yeah, it, it, however I get the fruit, I make it.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so that's actually cool because you're using like the community to like gather the fruit. It's not like it's just made in China, or redistributed. It's all in homegrown, made and made by your hand. So we'll get into that and we'll get your information on those things. So we definitely also like to support our guest here and everything. So one of the biggest things that I found out about you was that you were a tea master. And I thought that that was pretty cool. And then when I asked for your title, you said, okay, you're not just a Tai Chi master, but you're an Islamic Taoist. And
Mhm.
me, the more that I've been doing stuff, I've been getting into Ifa, and I found out, and the reason why I even contacted you is because mainly the more that I'm starting to learn about Ifa, I'm starting to see the connections between Taoism, Islam, even Judaism, and all these things to combine. So, first of all, how did you even get into all this stuff?
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Uh, my mom was a Panther, my father was a Panther. So I had, as a child, we were made to read. We were made to read a lot and often. And I had exposure to the religions of the world, so to speak. Of course, my mom took me to church every Sunday. Of course, I was part of the junior choir. Yay! And been baptized twice. So,
Baptized? Wow.
oh, girl, don't get me started. Um, so, having this view, my view was never narrowed when it came to the belief systems of the world. the Aboriginal belief in the Americas, our Native Americans, Taoism, Confucianism, Marxism. Um, my mom had, you know, that dude that was in Germany with the little funny beard. You know, wrote. We had
Yeah,
to read. We had to read that because I don't know how YouTube is gonna take to saying his name or that book. So we'll just leave it there.
right.
Exposure. That's the best thing I can exposure. When I turned 19, I was homeless. I was homeless and I was living in an abandoned building, and I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I made a deal with the universe. I went out at midnight, full moon, in the middle of overgrown pasture, my dog, and me and the universe had a ugly sit down. Cause it's like, I've followed all of these ways and it has just led me to dead ends with dealing with people. I need a teacher that is living what they are preaching. That's all I want. If I can't find that in a year, I'm gonna go rotten. And I left it at that. And within a week, I met Master Al Wali Muhammad, and he was a Tai Chi master and a philosopher and an artist. And if you want to talk about a Renaissance man, he was that. He was also a practicing polygamist. He had two wives and children, and they all lived in the same house and they were happy. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow him. And I have. And he is still my teacher,
Well, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
always.
Wow. So, what level is he at in like, is there like a level beyond master? Is it like super duper master or like how does, I mean, if you look,
Uh, how this our system works is kind of like the relation of a family. You got mom, you got grandma, you got great grandma, you got great 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 grandma. So he is a great 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 grandmaster at this point.
wow. So, okay. That sounds, I mean, intense. So, did you go through kind of like a Bruce Lee style initiation into like I mean, how did it go? Like,
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Yeah. Initially,
weird
I
and
was
say excellent as you like learn. So,
I was a stiff back knucklehead. You know, I was a stiff back knucklehead. So yeah, initially, it was the hour and a half of training. But the backstory to that was I was homeless, but I was 300 pounds homeless. And to get to class, to get to Master Muhammad, I had to walk a country mile, literally, to get to his class. So that started my body going. That hour and a half with him, everything that he did, I wanted to master. And being 300 pounds, every other girl on that line was a practicing freaking vegan. So 119 pounds tops. So I
wow.
always felt like the hippo in the tutu.
Wow.
But as they started to fall off, because they had everything they wanted. They could go back home to their family, they go back home to mommy and daddy, they go back home to their man. I went to an abandoned building. So my practice I was practicing all the time, all the time. Then that class dissolved, but I begged Master Muhammad not to dissolve the class to the point that I couldn't come. Then he moved across town, and then it took me 2 hours to get to him by bus, but I did it. And I have made it a point that anywhere my teacher is, I will fight tooth and nail to get there.
Girl, I thought you was gonna say you had to walk 2 hours. I was gonna say, child, wait a minute. But hey, you would have.
No,
You would
I
have.
would have. I would have.
That bus didn't come. You have to just go ahead and walk and make it there.
I would have. And to give you an idea of how determined and how sick and tired I was with my existence, we had a tornado coming through. And Master Muhammad said that you do not miss a class. I took the bus as far as the bus would go. I got off that bus and walked an hour in the beginnings of a tornado. When I got to his gate, he was pulling his car in and he looked up and was like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I told him, "You told me don't ask." Something changed in both of us that day. He pulled his car out. He took me clean cross town back home, and he drove in that tornado to get back to his house.
Wow. Huh. So you and I mean, why did he drive you back home if you were living in an abandoned building? Well, never mind. That's another story. But I mean, I guess he was like, "Hey, I'm your master. I'm not gonna go too far with it. The relationship has to be clear, huh?"
He didn't know that. Nobody knew that.
Hmm.
That was my little secret.
Wow. That's even more resilience. Wow. Wow. So I mean, when did the tables turn for you? From being in that situation, from the practices you were doing. I mean, first of all, how much weight did you lose? I'm sure that you like lost a lot of weight.
I
Like,
lost 120 pounds. I got down to a fighting weight of between like 176 and 181. I shed it.
and you know, when I always thought about Tai Chi, I did not think about weight loss. I thought of it more of a thing of like a meditation type of a situation, like not necessarily even a fighting weight or a championship weight. Is more, I thought of it more when I think of Tai Chi, I think of those people in China, like those old people that's in like the park. But I guess they'll jack you up too if you
Don't
let
mess with them old people in the park. Don't you leave them old folk in the park alone. They are stronger than you think they are. You can't do it.
right.
it it's moving meditation, and there's a difference. Um, Tai Chi and yoga run hand in hand.
Okay. Now Qigong, I think it's called. Is that
Qigong.
Qigong? Is that the one where you take the energy in your center and move it around, and then you're able to? So there's a spiritual aspect to that. It is it combination between Tai Chi and Qigong? Is it like a combination thing?
It's a triad actually. You have Qigong, which is breath. It's breath manipulation because Qi and the breath go hand in hand. So with Qigong, again, practice of the breath, you're breathing differently. There are three initial types of breath. You have uh, full breath, which is the same amount of exhale and the same amount of inhale. They're equal. That's one type of breathing. Then you have what's called dragon's breaths, which are complete opposites of one another. Either the inhale is longer than the exhale, or vice versa. And learning how to combine these three breaths is what the study of Qigong is about. And it's just pure breath work when you're talking about Qigong. But breath work, the energy in the body itself, which is what people call Qi. But that manipulation has everything to do with the breath, which is Qi Gong.
There's another one that got outlawed. Maybe I'm thinking about the wrong one. It's another one that looks like Tai Chi, and it was against the law to practice in China. Do you know which one that one is? And it looks like they take their hands, they do the same movements that look like Tai Chi, but it's against the law to perform. Do you know which one that one is? And there's like some religious element that it's connected to. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, Bagua and Xingyi are the brother and sister to Tai Chi. And I'm proficient in both of those as well, which is what makes me a master.
Okay. And are those ones
Um,
that are outlawed?
yes, they were outlawed for a while. As a matter of fact, Xingyi, it was against the law to teach Xingyi to women. So when I went into competition with Xingyi, I was the first woman ever to compete in Xingyi. And when I came out the winner, I busted the door completely down for the grand masters to go ahead and start teaching women Xingyi.
Wow. Have you been to China before?
Yes.
How many times?
6 times. The last time I was in China, I was indoctrinated into the Wudong Hall of Fame.
Wow. Oh my god. That's wow. Who knew? You know, because everybody just sees you on here just online. They don't even know how amazing you are, right? Okay,
This is my
I
little
have
secret.
the one I'm talking about. This is the one. Qigong.
Oh, Shaoli, it's still Qigong, but you have to understand within the history of China, the Shaolin has been burnt down like 4 times.
Is that the same thing as Qigong? Qigong.
Yes, they're the exact same thing. Hmm.
Okay, was this out loud? Like, is this against the law? I heard that one. This is against the law to do.
It's
Is
not
it?
against the law anymore to
Okay.
a point,
Okay, that's the part I was trying to get to. Okay, all right.
which is why it's a closed practice now.
Oh, okay, all right. So that's the one. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
one. When I was first trying to learn Tai Chi, I started getting into the Qigong, and there was like a guy that's like at the head of it, and it's like a whole organization and stuff like that. And I was learning online and stuff like that, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was looking at videos on YouTube. I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, so um let's really get into, you're also Islamic too. So and I believe that some of your Islam beliefs uh probably even helped you to have some of the discipline that it takes to even get through what you've been through. Let's get into
Yes.
your walk with Islam.
Uh, well, Master Muhammad was part. He had a large presence in the Nation of Islam. So he also came with that Islamic edge, And to be clear, when we say Islamic Taoist, we mean that we're Quranic. We're Quranis. If it's not in the Quran, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to get into the hadiths. I don't want to get into any of that because the first part of the Quran says, in this book, for the book, there is no doubt. That's all I need.
Right. So Oh, Angela. Jackie says, why was it illegal? Qigong. Why was it illegal, and why was the other ones illegal? Was it because it
They
was a
were
lethal thing? Was it like dangerous or something like that? Or
very, very. Um, what we have to understand is that all governments want control. So, in the idea of wanting control over the people, if the people have a practice that teaches them self control, then there can be no control of a governing body. So China had to shut that down. China shut that down when they threw the Iron Curtain up, and they had to scale back the ancient wisdoms that had been afforded everybody in China for centuries. You have When people have their own mind, you cannot control them. Qigong, the true practice of Qigong, the practice of Tai Chi Chuan instead of just Tai Chi, because that Chuan on the end means fist. So when you hear people say, I practice Tai Chi, what they're saying is they practice the meditation of Tai Chi. I'm a master of Tai Chi Chuan, which is Tai Chi fist, which is different.
wow. And it's so interesting. Like you could like do those things. They look harmless, but they could also hurt you. And a correlation is dancing. When you look at
Yeah,
African dance, those moves when they're doing all those moves, those are also kicks and punches and blocks. What people don't even realize when they're doing some of those African dance moves, when they're at least the ancient ones, where they might be stepping side to side, moving their arms a certain way. Those are blocks, kicks, uppercuts, punches, roundhouses, and it's a show of an athletic thing. And that's why you get like capoeira, you
yeah.
get things like that, and so the connection between martial arts from Asia to Africa is real. Also, the spiritual connection, right? So so go ahead. Let's get into that connection.
Um, I know a lot of our brothers, they stop at Africa. I went further. I went clean out to China. Um, when we think about here in America, when we think about spirituality, the first thing that comes up in a lot of our psyches, and let's just be honest, is God and Jesus, which means that we're waiting on something to save us or redeem us. And until that thing comes, we cannot be saved nor redeemed. When it comes to the Asian philosophy, you are your only redeemer. The only person that you can count on for redemption and saving is yourself. Um, it is one of the quotes is it's not the best thing to become the best fighter. It is to become the best part of yourself. And you affecting you instead of waiting. And when you do that, if you are a warrior, you'll look into your environment and you will see things that are wrong. And when that takes place, if you are a warrior for self and kind, you make it a point to try to fix that. Even if you can't in this lifetime, you'll hit it again in the next lifetime. and it becomes a pursuit of constantly getting better until you can break what's called the reincarnation cycle.
So that's powerful. And you know what's interesting is that it sounds the same as Ifa.
Let me tell you something. All indigenous, all all if you have people that truly have mastered their way of life slash religion slash cult, whatever, you can stack those beliefs on top of one another, and the only thing that's different is the names. That's it.
Thank you.
That's it. And you can plug in from each culture as you like. Um, you can take, even though the Chinese use a whole nother set of zodiac in a whole nother way, you can still take the Chinese zodiac and put it on top of the what we call the Gregorian zodiac. You can put them right on top of one another. You can interface almost any religions together, and the way that I like to interface them is using north, south, east, west grid. This 8-tone grid right here saves you a whole lot of, oh, sorry, there we go, saves you a whole lot of time. Almost every religion has this grid, and if you have this grid, you plug it right on in
Look, I'm gonna
and
show
they fit.
you. Look, I'm gonna show you E5. Hold on. Boom. I mean, that's a more like detailed grid, but even in E5, it has the same kind of layout with that north, south, east, west. I can
Hmm.
even bring that one up. Give me, bring it over. See, Oya, Shango, Yemoya, Ogun, cold, hot, cold, wet, a leg wide in the middle. Wow. And these are the four
These
elements,
are your these are your E5 elements. Exactly.
right?
And when you can nail down the elements, because again, in the Qigong, you still have fire, water, wood, metal, air. You can find five of them. You can find them broke down into sixes, sevens. It just depends on how you want to do it. With the I Ching, there's thunder, fire, lake, heaven, earth, mountain, water, and wood. If you, again, all of those eight line up all the way around, you just have to pull them in.
Right. You talked about the I Ching. So do you actually know how to do I Ching and read I Ching?
Yes.
So you do so is it explain what the I Ching is.
The I Ching is a
I'm sorry, I Ching.
philosophy.
I'm sorry, I'm saying it like I'm from I don't know where I'm I Ching. Explain what the I Ching is.
I Ching.
I Ching. The I Ching. Okay, let me get it right. Okay, go ahead.
Is
Explain.
I Ching. You're okay. The I Ching is a philosophy that goes with Taoism and Tai Chi. It's the grid. It's this.
Wow, and that looks just like this, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
it's proving the point that it all comes, it's all got the same similar things. Now this is that looks way that's got them all in there. Wow, that's got everything. It's breaking it down. So what would be at the center of that? Did you freeze? Uh oh, I think Fundi froze. Hold on. Okay,
exists. This is where your grid would exist, right here.
Okay.
And from these two opposites, yin being the dark, yang being the light, they're pushing existence. And this outer part is that existence and how it shows up. And you can read it by the different hexagrams that are around it, because each one of these grids is aligned with each one of these hexagrams sitting to the outside.
So do you
And
have
much,
so
go
are you
ahead, I'm
have
sorry.
do you have to memorize all of the stories for each of all a million whatever the amount of those are, or do you have to get like I mean those
It
components?
begins with it begins with this chart.
Wow. So I mean, and these this is a divination method, correct?
Yes, it is.
And I
Yes, it
mean,
is.
so when you so what did the I Ching in Chinese society the would there be a priest that would do this, or just anybody just knew how to do that?
No, no, everybody didn't know how to do this. Um, it was accessible to anybody, but again, it's it's why you don't hear Taoists calling each other priest. They call each other masters. You're a master, you're a novice, or you're an acolyte. Period. Because we're not ordained. Nobody has ever ordained us. And mastery of a thing, again, is an internal thing. When we say master, we mean that you have learned to master yourself. You are Lord and Master over self. It does not mean, and with Americans and our slave master relationship, it's hard for black folk to hear master and be okay with it. Ain't nobody my master. That exactly. You a spiritual discipline and a mental discipline of mental being some type of art, have mastered some type of art. You need three of those things to be considered a master. And once you are, if you teach another master, then you become a grandmaster. And every master that comes under you pushes your mastery up, great grandmaster, great grandmaster, like we were saying in the beginning, to make that full circle.
It's similar to in Ifa where you have a godmother and you have godchildren. They have godchildren. They have and it's called a lineage. You know.
Exactly.
So is your Ile your house your temple?
It would be your dojo or your, yeah, dojo or your temple. Yeah.
Very similar.
Hmm.
I just it's just amazing when you draw the similarities. And the only reason why I even knew that about that it was so similar was when the Oluo of Oyutunji was I just interviewed with him and he's pointed out that even the Korean flag has the I Ching in it.
The I Ching in it. Yeah.
I keep saying I Ching. Ah. Um,
It's okay. I'm gonna keep repronouncing it for you till you get it.
you've been telling me, but I was like, okay. So the I Ching in it, and then he says, well, it's the same thing as Ifa. It's the same thing. That's most Babalaos recognize uh the I Ching the same thing as the Odu.
I mean, if we're gonna be honest about world history, China was started by black folk. They know it. They have to have a festival every year because they exterminated the little black people of China. I'll put it this way. Let's put it this way. One of China's symbols is the lion, correct?
Yes.
Where do you find lions?
In Africa.
Thank you.
South Africa.
Thank you. Thank you. When they exterminated the little black people of China, and that's why a lot of Chinese are short in stature, because these were pygmies.
What? The Chinese were the pygmies? That's the
They're of the line of pygmies, yes.
aren't the pygmies like the oldest African civilization?
Yes.
Wow. So that's why it looks like you guys' I Ching is so developed out.
Mm-hmm. And
Wow.
that's why their celestial calendar was so precise. And
Interesting.
and that is why China has some of the longest running uninterrupted history in the world. And if they don't have that festival every year, there's a curse on China.
What?
Yeah, when they got ready to exterminate the last male and female pygmy, the male cursed China that if they did not celebrate them every year, that China would come to its own destruction. So every year, China has now the festival gets smaller and smaller, but every year, China has a festival for the little black people.
Wow. And that might explain why they're trying to go into Africa now.
It's their connection. They're trying to go back home, but not only go back home, to go back home and control it from an Asian point of view.
Hmm. The same thing is happening with Russia as well.
Shoot, the
And Russia,
czars were black.
I was going to say, Russia also does have an Asian connection too. Huh.
Queen Charlotte came from Russia.
And she was black.
Very much so.
Listen, look, Fundi is cooking here. I hope that you guys are sharing this. Um. So I wanted to to touch more on the I Ching.
Sure.
Um. I wanted you to kind of teach a little more about that, the things that you can. I'm sure that there's certain things you're not allowed to. I'm not sure. I don't know. Are there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some teachings that are in school only.
Right. So I wanted you to kind of get more into the I Ching, what it means. We've got into the Odus, so I wanted to give you time to do that.
um okay, the I Ching,
Ah,
it you okay?
no, I've messed it up again. I got you doing it. No, I Ching. I understand 7 times. 7 times.
the the I Ching is little. It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. One of the principles that the I Ching is grounded in is binary code. It's either on or it's off. Just that point. On is a full line, off is a broken line. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. On is a full line, off is a broken line. Okay? Now, the simplest form of the I Ching has only 3 lines. And a lot of you guys might see this like over over the door of your favorite Chinese restaurant, they might have that little hexagon over the door. That's this. That's this. And depending on how many stacks you have, depends on how many universes you're actually looking into. And when we say universe, each one of these stacks is a universe. So 8 layers of heaven, the 8 stacks of the I Ching. As you go through it, you'll find that there's a binary code that takes place. Things are either on or off. And when you have that 6 stacks, this is what comes up when you color in that binary space. What's on and what's off. And it makes this harmonious, this interdependent relationship between on and off, or male, female, light, light, dark. Instead of, in the I Ching, instead of these two opposite forces warring with one another, they become interdependent on one another. And when they spiral, depending on their relationship, they can speed up or they can slow down. If the yin speeds up, yang will slow down. If yang speeds up, yin will slow down. But in the relationship, it is always known that yang comes out of yin, but yin comes out of Wu Qi. And when yang, which is the light, when it decides to go out, because all light will go out eventually, yin, which is always right on the outside of yang, because yin gave birth to yang so it could express itself. So in that expression, no matter how big, no matter how small, yang expresses, yin yields. But when yang decides to yield, yin comes in and devours it again, taking it back into Wu Qi. And then Wu Qi once again gives birth to yin, which gives birth to yang. Yang expresses itself, it closes itself back in, it goes back into yin, yin and yang go back into Wu Qi. And it just, this flux. And that flux makes the 1,000 things.
Would you consider that to be expansion and contraction?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the biggest things that Ifa talks about, that everything is based on expansion, contraction. Wow.
And isn't that exactly what your breath does?
Right. Your lungs, yeah.
When you inhale, your whole body expands. When you exhale, your whole body constricts. And there is a point at high constriction and high retention, which is the exhale, that's where Wu Qi lives. Wu Qi lives in that nothing or that complete fullness. But yin and yang is what sits in between those two poles.
So would Wu Chi be at the center and then at the outside? So you at the very
Wu
center.
Chi is Wu Chi
Okay,
is the outskirt. As a matter of fact, Wu Chi is this line right here.
going
Wu
around.
Chi sits on the very outskirts. Wu Chi defines yin and yang. It's what holds it together.
Would you consider this almost like a calabash as well,
Could be.
like a womb?
Yeah.
Because that's what in E5 it says that all existence exists inside the calabash, and it looks like
All exists with all exists within Wu Chi. hmm
wow,
The
just saying it.
no the
It's
it is
crazy.
void of no thing. Now, a lot of people hear nothing. No, no, no. Wu Chi is void of no thing, which means everything exists inside of that womb. It is void of no thing, not void and nothing. No, no, no. It is the void of no thing, which means everything exists in there.
Everything all at once at the same time. That's why that's interesting that movie, right? So when we're watching these movies, right, which is you look at it like it's an entertaining martial arts kind of a movie, but really it's talking about the, on a deeper level, it's really talking about the I Ching and multi universes, what not stacked upon each other, but happening every
The
two.
eight, exactly.
Well, I guess they are stacked up, stacked side by
They
side.
are stacked. No, they're stacked. They can whatever direction you want to put them in
Because
is
you
stacked.
uh, four stacked on one side and another stacked on the other side,
Could
right?
be.
Hmm. So
Yep. There was a movie called The One with Jet Li. Well,
right,
Lee Jet, depending on where you're from, how you pronounce his name. The One was about the struggle between Xing Yi and Bagua. One did circles, that's Bagua. One did a study of straight lines, that's Xing Yi. And when the one came out, us internal artists, and when I say internal artists, those of us that study Tai Chi, Xing Yi, and Bagua, we were floored. I couldn't watch it in the theater. I was too hyped. I had to come home and watch it.
wow, wow, that is amazing. We think that we're just watching a regular martial arts movie. We don't understand that these things got meaning stacked on top of meaning, stacked on top of meaning, stacked on top of meanings.
I mean, right even up to the end of the movie where they both got their own heavens, even though they were the same person from two different planes. Their heavens were completely different as well. Uh, the one that practiced Xing Yi, which is the study of straight lines, his heaven was with his woman and his dog. Our Bagua dude, his heaven was fighting. So when they sent him to the jail, the jail in the other dimension, when he stood on that pentacle and was like, "Hey, it ain't for me to know who you are, it's for you to know who I am." And he started kicking butt. That was his heaven.
Wow, what a breakdown! You know, and let me tell you, the similarities are just even in when you get into the chakras. Let's look at this. Let me see. I wish there was a way. I don't want to cover up your face. Do you have an example of that chakras on your computer?
I do.
Because just like the Odu has connection to the chakras, I Ching also connect to the body. I'm sure if I'm not if now that we're talking about the similarities, I know that when you get a reading in E5, it'll tell you, hey, you might have some issues with your stomach, or when you do the reading. So is it the same thing where you're able to
Yes,
so prescribe and wow, okay.
yes. As a matter of fact, do you have this chart?
Mm-hmm.
This chart is chakra related. See the colors? Red, orange, yellow, green,
Yes.
dark green, blue, gold, indigo, back into red.
Right.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
So you go
Laid
to
out right here.
you're a master of you could do you go in there because I actually went to an Asian practitioner before, and I think he did the I Ching. He went into a back room. He didn't do it in front of me, and he looked at my tongue, or no, he held my pulse, and then he just walked off, and then he came back and he's like, "This is what's wrong." Blah blah, blah. I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Take this. Take here's the herbs." I'm like, "What is going on? What just happened?"
He
How
gave
could
you a bag of herbs and told you how to use them. Yep.
I'm like, dude, how could you tell all that just from taking my pulse? He went back there and did the I Ching.
Well,
Wow,
your post told him what to do on the I Ching.
really?
Yes.
What?
And some of them can take a double pulse. Meaning they take a pulse in your right arm and they take a pulse in your left at the exact same time. And the difference in those two pulses is how they correlate you on the I Ching chart.
What?
Because there
Man,
is a difference in the two pulses.
see, and so we're getting into Western medicine. So these practices are holistic, guys. They're holistic. When we start just only thinking about just religion itself, it's one thing. When we start thinking about culture and those practices, they had a very holistic culture. Its masters, its grandmasters understood things from a holistic perspective, and they had a divination system because they were the doctors, right?
Yes.
I want you to get into that.
Well, in Asian culture, unlike American culture, your health is directly related to how you feel about the state. In Asia, they don't want you in the hospital, which is why almost every 2-3 miles there's a park, and those parks are being used by old people, young people. This is where they come to commune together. And there's absolutely nothing to go to the park and see 8 aunties dancing the same dance. They got handkerchiefs and they out there doing their thing. You got 20 people doing Tai Chi Yang style. You got 15 people doing Tai Chi Sun style. You got your Bagua going. Over in the corner, you have a mixed group that's doing sword forms. You got people on the double bars. You got 90-year-olds doing cartwheels.
Come on now.
When
It,
they talk about health, they mean health overall. And one of the things that their culture has kept intact is self preservation for the state. Here in America, we really don't think about self preservation. And I'm going to go a step further, and some of y'all might be mad at me. Black woman, your state of preservation. We have been beaten, bamboozled, kowtowed out of our sense of self preservation to the point that we don't even want to talk about protecting ourselves because we put ourselves on the line for everybody, forsaking self-preservation. And the Asians do it the exact opposite way. If I told every black woman, hey man, look, you got to walk a mile a day. You want to pump your lymph nodes, you got to walk a mile a day. It doesn't have to be fast. It ain't got to be all up in your grill. You know, it doesn't have to be a half run, but walk 1 mile a day just for your physical health. That's gonna go in one ear and popcorn on the seat, because that's what we're used to. But where is our self-preservation? When I sat down with my grandmaster, Madame Wong Gerard, she questioned me about the black community, and I was embarrassed. She was like, the black woman is the most harassed person in America. Why can't I get them in here to learn how to self-preserve? Who?
Yeah, that's deep. Well, I'm crying too, child. Yeah, why can't men?
She asked me, why isn't your class bigger? And I had to admit to her that we are such a broken people. The fight was beaten out of us. And because of our conditioning, we still have not overcome the idea that we give ourselves before we give to ourselves. But she was right, and I couldn't deny it. And I still don't deny it. I always had dreams of teaching 100 black women Tai Chi Chuan to be exact, the fist, how to fight with Tai Chi. But I think I mistranslated what I wanted to teach them, because I wanted to teach them the philosophy of fighting. And when you're taught the philosophy of fighting, fighting occurs on different levels, like those heavens, those stacks. Physical fighting is the lowest form of conflict resolution. But if we can learn different philosophies, different ways of thinking, different ways of processing information through other philosophies other than the three Abrahamic religions, which mean us no good and never has. Soon, soon, maybe not in my lifetime, but maybe in the next one, nothing changes until yin changes, because yin produces yang. Yin gives yang its expression. And until yin changes, yang will never change.
That's powerful. Now, I knew it was gonna be some powerful stuff that was gonna happen today. I was already about to cry at the beginning, and then you got me crying. But because I already knew, you know, when you showed me some of the things that you were gonna talk about coming up here, I was already chills went through my body because I said something. This is about to be very powerful, and I hope that this reaches out. I really want you guys to share this because we people need to hear this. Women need to hear this, especially right now. We are the most attacked right now. We're getting attacked on a regular basis. You know, by our creation.
By our creation.
Yang's attacking Yin. Is there a story about that in the I
Well,
Ching?
yeah, there is. It's the expansion of the expression. Like I said, yin gives birth to yang. The yin wants to see an expression. That expression is a light. And like I said, when you look at the sun, especially, in the backdrop of the universe, you see all of this light, but right outside of that light is complete darkness. The darkness does not intrude upon that light. It allows it its expression. As yin, we allow yang to express itself. We yield to that expression. But when that expression goes out, when any sun goes out, yin crouches in and reabsorbs it until it is ready to be spit out and expressed again. We as women, we have to learn to absorb yang back in. We gotta reel the expression back in. But we can only reel it back in when it begins to dissipate. There are a few ways to get it to dissipate, and that is part of the I Ching. How do you go through that dissipation of yang, or how do you survive the expression of yang? Yield. Yield to it. There is no reason for us to be fighting the red pill. Uh-oh.
What? Oh, I wish I had an explosion or something to put on my. Oh my god! What? She said something explosive. I wish I had the
Abs- Absolutely no reason for us to be even all up in arms about the red pill. If the woman goes silent,
Mm.
let it express itself. The only reason it keeps going this long is because yin is fighting against it. No. Yin's nature is yielding, not fighting. And yin is the only thing that can suppress yang.
Ha.
Yang on yang, big yang wins. Which is why in the fighting philosophy, Tai Chi is so useful. Because if you're using force, I am not. When you use force, I use physics. In Tai Chi philosophy, 1 ounce wards off 1,000 pounds. 1-to-1 ratio. 1 ounce wards off 1,000 pounds. I've taught children how to do this in physical ratio. There is no reason for us to fight the red pill. The only thing the red pill is yang caught in the expression of itself. And that is the downfall of Yang. Kind of like Shango.
Right. Yeah.
The exact same story. Shango ruins his whole house because of his yang like nature. And that is how yang begins to burn itself out. The greatest yang is complete narcissism.
And you know what? And when you think about it, it's happening because Myron is demonetized. Everybody's getting demonetized. And the yins that were fighting against it got demonetized first. The ones that were fighting, the Cynthia G's and they got demonetized. They got kicked off before Yan did, right? Before the red pill did, right?
Yep.
All those channels are coming down, are getting demonetized. Yeah, wow. And they're almost having to go back to their original state. Interesting.
See how that works? And it'll work that way every time. That's the nature of the universe.
Hey, and that goes to, hey, you got somebody talking crap about you, you can sit there and argue with them and go fight fire with fire and go back and forth, or you can just let them talk themselves into just eventually getting tired, and either they're gonna be quiet or they're just gonna, I mean, what you gonna do? You gonna talk forever?
Nope, they won't. Because that's not the nature of the universe. The nature of the universe is if they can't get that energy off of you, they're gonna go seek it somewhere else.
Philosophies to live by, guys. And this is in, so is this also Taoism on top of the I Ching? Is Taoism the religion that's over I Ching, or the belief system or culture that surrounds the I Ching divination system?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into Taoism, because you also say that you practice Islam. So how do you combine the two? Like, how does that work? What ways does how does that work?
I'm an Islamic Taoist. How does that work? Okay. Taoism is the only way of life that has not shed blood on this planet. Taoism does not seek to control others. Taoism is rooted in the control of self, where Islam also is rooted in the control of self. Every Muslim is charged by Allah to increase their knowledge. Male or female, it does not matter. In Taoism, we seek to increase our knowledge. Each of them seek to increase knowledge for the sake of the whole. And those who seek knowledge in the proper way, because even in Islam, you are not allowed to seek knowledge to vex your brother. This is why I do not debate my belief. I'm not debating you on my beliefs. I'm just not gonna do it. That's vexing my brother. And it would go against everything that Taoism stands for. You are allowed to have your way. And that Taoism is simply about the way. What way? Your way. We all have different paths to the one. Now, whether that one is Allah, whether that one is the universe, that one is the goddess of all, chalk it up, call it what you want. We are talking about the exact same wave that permeates the whole fabric of the universe. It is that thing that we call God that keeps everything united. And once we realize that that is a universal thing, we might just be calling it by different names, and we have different ways of getting to it. The goal of Islam is to respect self, you know, to not have any partners with Allah, to keep your prayer, and to increase your knowledge. Now that's I I didn't put all of the tenets in there for sake of time, but for Taoism, it is almost the exact same thing. My salvation is dependent on me and nobody else. And I like that idea because I'm not going to let me down. I did that once already. And that is not a road that I ever want to take again. And if my way means that as I go through life, I can inspire others, that is a life that I want well lived.
I'm sorry, I gotta just take those pauses. I want people to think, as I wanted to soak in. Um, so how do you like when you're prayer, practicing Tai Chi, does it offer any insights during Islamic meditative practices like dhikr or Sufi contemplation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that contemplation is the manipulation of chi as well. I can move chi throughout my body or I can move my chi throughout the universe.
Hmm.
You know, the fastest thing in the universe is thought.
How?
Thought can cross the universe and come back in a millisecond. And when we think about that, if I send out a question into the universe during my meditative state, which is that state that sends me to Wu Chi and that underlining fabric, that current,
Mhm.
then I am in universal thought, or I am the avatar, or I am in the Akashic record. And if I am a part of that record, then that record is a part of me. I am a part of the universe, but I am the whole of the universe. As above, so below. As yin constricts, yang expands. And when they decide that they're going to do the opposite, yang decides to constrict, yin will expand. Once that is known, once that on or off is known, you can move through the universe at will.
So let's say this. We're in the age of Aquarius, right? That's what they call it, right? Are we in
That's
the
what
age
they're
of Aquarius?
calling it.
And then
Yes.
is that what that so that's more of a feminine energy? That's supposed to be the feminine energy. Do you think that with the whole Kamala Harris thing, with the red pill kind of seeming to collapse, that we're in a yin, that we're coming up upon yin expansion?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we just got out of the cusp of our change. The year 2000, we were square within. We had just started the age of Aquarius. We were cold stone in it. We were no longer in the cusp. When these things happen, some cultural ideas must collapse and others will take its place. This yang fully expressing itself to the point of its own destruction, this is why the age has to change. This is that cycle that keeps the flux, that keeps this particular universe in its own existence, because we have 2,500-year-old cycles, and we must have gone through these cycles a couple of times for us to know these things about the cycles. Now it's about learning to live within that cycle, because this is the first time any of us have lived within the age of Aquarius.
Exactly.
we don't
Right.
we don't know what is about to pop off. We have no idea. The only thing we can do is chart it. But if this is a yin cycle, Yang's destruction will not be tolerated.
Hmm. Wait a minute. Wait. Exactly. Well, hold on. Wait a minute. You got to expound on that. Hold on now.
When yin comes to the forefront, yang will either be knocked back or it will subside back. Neither one of them can be standing forward at the same time. That is the even flow of the universe, which is why this red pill thing is coming to a halt, which is why those that were fighting it had to come to a halt, because fight is yang. And there's no fight, there's just what is. And what is doesn't need any of us to fight for it.
Wow. Oh,
Sisters, don't worry. Don't worry. For those of you who have decided that it's not in your place to self preserve, leave your daughters alone, because your daughters have been born in the age of yin preservation, which is why we're seeing the shift from red pill, or what they call traditional women. Those weren't traditional women. Not at all. Those were those were social constructs that were put in place to limit yin while yang decided to express itself.
deep. I hope you guys are writing this down.
Now it's time for yin to express itself. Now, the thing that yang didn't want to happen, and all of those controls were put in place for yang or men to express self, all of that is going to come to a complete halt, because here is where Young's narcissism, or Young getting mesmerized by its own brilliance, Yang cannot birth itself. Yang can only be birthed out of yin. And when yin changes, so does yang.
So with that,
And that's the fight that we're seeing right now.
So what would that explain? So do you think that this also applies to like the low birth rates happening right now?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yin has the decision to create or not. And for a very long time, Yin wanted to create with Yang. So Yin created what Yang wanted. But what Yang wanted wasn't good for Yin. It took Yin a long time to figure that out, but I'm glad you did finally. Now we understand, and in a minute, Yang is going to understand too, that when Yin decides not to create,
It's gonna scare the shit out of me. Like, oh, oh, we better do something
well,
else.
it already is scaring them. It's scaring them to the point, y'all ready for this? It's scaring them to the point that in some states in America, you can't get an apostille done. They are forcing Yin to create. You can't force Yin to create. Yin will always find a way if it wants to not create, to the point that Yin will naturally stop procreating altogether. And the only way to get her to procreate is to defile her. But you run up on the right yin trying to defile it, and you will end yourself. Which is why we are constantly urging yin to learn to protect yourself, learn to protect yourself, learn to protect yourself, because there is a day coming. They've already written it into law in some states. Even if you get raped,
You have to
you
have.
can't hurt the baby. That's forced procreation. We already see it happening. We just don't correlate it to the philosophy. But now that you see it correlated to the philosophy, again, once women learn to protect themselves, ooh, this whole, oh, what you gonna do what I say do? That's gonna go by the wayside.
You know what? That's why I think that this kind of dialogue is important because these systems help you think like this. You understand? When you're just thinking only in a set way of thinking, a book that's only talking about a certain thing, that's only just talking about one certain thing about this one book. You're not book, so you're not able to contemplate the future, right? Because the book is telling you don't think about the future. That's wrong to think about to even foretell what the future could even do. No, it said this was gonna happen, and that's it. That's all you were able to think about. But when you have systems like this, it makes you think further than just what words are written. It makes you actually use your brain past it. I think it expands your mind. Listen,
Beyond the literacy that America gave us. Because trust me, there is not a people in the world that want you to fix yourself. They want us to be a permanent underclass. And the way to keep us a permanent underclass is to make sure we never educate ourselves. We never get an education. We got indoctrination. Education allows you to use the knowledge that you have to your betterment. That's an education. Indoctrination, on the other hand, allows the power that be to stay the power that be because of lack of education. which is why Taoism and Islam sit right on top of one another for me. Increase your knowledge. Find out other ways of processing information, i.e., thinking outside of the construct of America. Because again, America wants a permanent underclass. And I'm tired of being at, I was so tired of being at the bottom of that pyramid. I didn't know what to do with myself. Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
So the last thing I want to talk about, because we're approaching an hour and a half, is I want to talk about witchcraft, right? So most Christians and even most in the Abrahamic faith would say that what you're doing is witchcraft. Divination is witchcraft. Herbs are witchcraft. Uh, Meditation is witchcraft. What else they say is witchcraft? Oh, you can't burn no sage. It's witchcraft. Everything is witchcraft.
Looking up at the stars is witchcraft. Yeah.
Astrology is witchcraft. Everything is witchcraft.
Hmm.
And all these things are tools that actually are sent to help us. But it's saying God did not want us to do that. Is that Young trying to control?
Yes.
Now,
Not just Yang trying to control.
now everything in my mind is like saying, is looking at it as a correlate. Oh wow, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, be quiet now.
And remember, the three Abrahamic religions. Where's the woman?
Mary. Oh, there's only one woman. Mary is either you get the mother of Jesus or you get the whore. So you have the mother and the prostitute. That's the only two women that you really you. I mean, you got the wives, but they're very muted in the conversation. Yeah,
Where's the woman in the triads? The
Holy
Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. What
is the Holy
Spirit?
Spirit supposed to be the one?
Well, how did the child get there? Where's Mama? This is like Disney. Disney like to kill off mothers too.
You know what? Now that you think about it, they always got that scene. They always got that scene that make you cry. Honey, man, listen. They got that one scene in every Disney movie that you cry about. That people might have passed on. The grandma passed on. Honey, what was they talking about? It was what's that movie with the grandma? It was really talking about the Mexican thing, Mexican Day of the Dead, and the grandma had to die, and that long drawn out death sad scene. Hell, my children were in tears. Trauma.
Moana's grandmama had to die.
They're always killing the grandma. Killing the
But
grandma.
what else died in Moana? Because somebody took the heart of Tafiti. Who took the heart?
I don't remember that part.
A man.
Right. Mm.
A demigod to be exact. A half and halfer.
I hope y'all taking notes, right?
Dumbo's mama had to die.
Woo.
Bambi's mama had to die. Where was Cinderella's mama? Oh yeah, dead.
Yeah. Oh my! I never realized that. Oh my gosh! What is that? And they're teaching this to kids.
It is to control the divine feminine, to make it obscure. Because the only thing that can change yang is yin. If yang does not want to change, it has to obscure yin.
Wow.
Yang can only get so big until it starts to literally defeat itself.
Ain't Disney closing down? Didn't they just have to do a thing like a man? Disney is on its way out too.
I just
That's
thought I'd pull out the parallels on how yin has been so suppressed,
right.
and how they suppressed it in the most diabolical ways. I mean, Think about Disney.
through our
Disney is,
children.
look at the princesses. How long did it take for us to get a princess?
Right. Mm, mm, mm. Dang, that's a long time.
Ain't it? And I'm gonna go a little further. I'm gonna go a little further. This might hurt some feelings, but the great young of the black community, they killed our king, and we didn't even realize it. Fee, what are you talking about? Black Panther? They completely killed off our masculine right in front of us. They gave us a king and then they took him away.
Right on the screen, and everybody, and we all had to mourn it. Everybody felt sad at the end of that movie. Wow.
Now, who has the Black Panther? Who's in control of the Black Panther now?
Marvel comics. Oh,
Now,
I'm
in the
sorry.
series. In the series, it passed to his sister, didn't it?
Yeah, it passed to the woman. Oh, interesting. Wow. Huh. But interesting too is the technology aspect, right? So how
Exactly.
because AI is coming up pretty soon. Is AI yang energy? What energy is AI?
Yin. And I will tell you why.
What? Because AI is fixing to what? So that's okay.
AI is yin energy because it has to be programmed. It is passive until it's not. Yin can go into yang, and yang can go into yin. Both, they can cross each other at any point in time. AI right now is yin energy. It's collecting itself. It
Into
won't be yang energy until it goes online by itself, like Skynet did.
okay. Or when it
And
gets
that's
become a robot,
when it becomes self-aware, it turns into yang.
sentient.
Yep.
Wow. And that's not too far from now.
Nope. And that is what yin is gonna have to deal with in a minute. Another type of yang, because we have to remember yang made AI. AI is programmed with yang, not yin. Yang.
So it's almost like a trick. And we don't even realize it. We don't even realize that yang is tricking is
Itself. Yes. Say it.
yang is tricking itself. Wow.
Hmm.
They think it's going to be
It's
making it more powerful, but really they're also creating their own destruction. See how these systems help you think a little bit different?
hmm
Because if you just only just thought on a regular basis, you wouldn't even be able to put that together.
Nope.
A real deep standpoint, I
Correct.
encourage people to look into contact Master Fundi Fe. I mean, I think she has some online Tai Chi classes. Go ahead and invest in her. She needs, I think, no more females need to learn how to protect themselves, like she said. Because when these robots come, I don't know what's gonna happen. Hell, they got a robot right now called Moxie that they're trying to get. Honey, I was gonna get it from my dust. You better not. That robot will be monitoring your whole house, asking
I'm
you,
a,
can
I'm
you?
a, I'm gonna put this out there. Remember Terminator, the movie Terminator?
Yeah,
Who was fighting against him first?
the children, the
A
girl,
woman.
the woman,
A
yeah,
woman.
the woman, yeah.
She had to give birth to a boy that could defeat AI.
Ah, wow.
Sarah Connor was her name.
Right.
See the male aspect coming for the female aspect
Yeah.
to keep itself sentient,
Yes.
because only the woman could give birth to the answer.
Are y'all writing this down?
You don't see it, but it's right there in front of you.
But
They can't,
if you don't
they
have these
can't,
systems, you can't think like this.
thank you. They can't do this magic without telling you first.
That's
That
another.
is a magic principle.
We're talking about magic here. Okay, let's get into this. Now let's get into this witchcraft aspect. Okay, what is
Mhm.
witchcraft? Right? Because now you know all these things, all this stuff that you're talking about is witchcraft. Is against Jesus. It's against the Bible. All this stuff is evil. It's the devil.
Witchcraft is the use of nature in a productive way to come to an end goal. Whether that be using the stars, that's nature. Herbs, that's nature. Direction, that's nature. Uh, the Kundalini, that's nature. The I Ching, nature. Of course, they would call it evil when they want to keep you in an artificial construct. When you come out of the artificial construct, the only thing you do have to work with is nature. That's all you got. But the way they put nature together does not allow for you to use it. Although, let the Abrahamic religions not use astrology and try to figure out where Easter goes. Easter is an astrological event. And the only way that they can calculate that is to use astrology, which is with, oh, it's all evil. But that's what you use to get your calendar together. That's what the Catholic Church used to get the Mayans and the Hopis all up in their feelings, because they knew when an eclipse was coming. Isn't that astrology?
Right. How do they know when the eclipse is coming if they don't know astrology?
You want to talk about
Moon never
stones are evil, but the Pharisees were wearing breastplates of precious stone. Jesus turned water into wine. He brought back a dead man, let them tell it. He cast out demons. I could swear that's got to have some witchcraft in it, don't it? Jesus was a whole freaking walking warlock.
Come on now. Come on now. It was a few of them in that book that was warlocks, all kind of stuff on a high level. High level warlocks.
If I walked on water the day of tomorrow, what do you think they would call me? A witch. But your savior did it too, often and regularly.
Wait, didn't Moses part the sea, or was it Jesus? It wasn't Moses said, "Let my people."
Moses parted the Red Sea trying to get up out of Egypt.
What kind of magic does it take? You have to be able to control water, don't you?
You have to control. Oh, you know, a lot of magical things happened on that 40 years around a mountain when they could have got there in 24 hours walking.
Right. Burning books, all kind of things. Things with people was hallucinating. There was all kind of wild stuff going on.
They
It,
followed fire by night and something else by, I think, a pillar of wind by day. That's a little Witchy right there. They manna from heaven. That's a little witchy.
That sounds a little bit like witchcraft to me, huh?
That's a little bit. I don't.
So those are little sprinkles, it's like little sprinkles here and there of witchcraft, but they, you know what I'm saying?
Moses went up a mountain and talked to a burning bush and came down with, well, what ended up being 10 commandments. He had more than that, but he threw some down because he was mad because that golden calf got made. But uh, huh, huh. It's, I don't know. Some weed smokers are like, we can talk about that burning bush in a couple of ways. We sure can.
What kind of a burning bush, right?
Exactly. Enough to make him chisel a couple of plates out of rock with some rules in it. But I'm going to put this out here too. We forget that Moses was raised up in the Egyptian mystery system. He lived in the palace. He was a prince of Egypt. He too went to mystery schools, which is why when he came back and they had a snake contest, his snake was able to eat the wizards from Egypt's snakes, and it went back into his staff. He was witchy too.
Sounds like witchcraft to be able to do all that. Something, it's some kind of sorcery going on.
Hey, I'm just here relaying a message.
It might not be witchcraft. They didn't have the word. Did witchcraft the word even exist back then?
No,
So why does that even a word? I don't. Where do we get that word from?
witchcraft is used to persecute yin.
Mm.
It is a made up construct by Yang, and it was made up primarily in Europe and the Americas to control how yin had control of physical healing. When men wanted to get into being the physicians,
Mm.
witchcraft came into being. Because if you go back to any good witchcraft story from here to Europe, it was always a midwife. It was always an herbal healer. And I always find it completely funny that usually the witch that was burned at the stake was the woman that was healing people in the daggone village. Yeah, she healed my son. She must be a witch. Ah!
You know what? This. You know what this sounds like? Have you noticed how a lot of holistic healers are like suddenly passed or ending up unalived in
Mhm.
some kind of way?
Mhm.
So it sounds like an agenda to me. Sound like agenda. Sounds like agenda.
Yeah, who knows?
GENDAH. You know what I'm saying?
But when physicians wanted in on birthing children, male physicians, the midwives became witches. Again, controller of life and death. The controller of life and death must be controlled.
Because
And
some
that's when we lost autonomy.
death doulas too, right? A lot of like
Hmm.
midwives also are there when you're going help you to go into if you're like sicker and dying, they would be there too. So those
I'm a
those are
doula.
okay,
I'm a death doula as well.
right. Most people I do know that are doulas practice both life and death, bringing people in, taking them out, guiding them out, right out.
And for those of you that don't know what a death doula is, it is somebody that helps you through the process of death. It's a thing. Black people don't use us because I think it's the first time a lot of black folk then actually heard of a death doula. But other cultures, Asian, Indian, Middle Eastern, I do service them in helping to cross over or helping the family to adjust to a loss.
You know what? Me, my head Orisha is Oya, and I deal with a lot of people in that. A lot of that too. So you might have an Oya or a Yemaya. You might be because Yemaya also handles life and death as well. So
Don't forget Oba.
Oba is in the cemetery, right? Yeah,
That's right.
Oba. Hmm. So listen, I wanted to open up the floor to see if anybody wanted to come up. If anybody had any questions,
Sure.
uh, does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to come up? It's not that many people in the room. A lot of my people come during the replay. I
Hmm.
get replay. I don't get a lot of live people. But if anybody wants to come up or anybody wants to ask a question, please feel free to join the panel because it's getting closer to the 2 hour mark. You guys know we don't go past 2 hours. I like to keep things concise. I really the hell this interview could have been wrapped up. She didn't drop so many gems up in here that we really like could have even ended it earlier. But I really wanted to get into that aspect because a lot of people that believe in a lot of things, they'll say something like, "Oh, that's witchcraft. That's you know what I'm saying." But no, we have to really redefine and really understand the holistic practices that exist because some of these things might save your life when you do it. You know what I'm saying?
And there's a reason I wear a lot of hats. There's a reason I wear a lot of hats. Now, whether that was meant metaphorically or that was meant actually, there's a reason. Um, I often tell young women, um, wear a hat or cover your hair and see how the world treats you. Cover your hair for a week, keep a cap on for a week, and then take it off and interact in regular world. There are two different ways that women are treated, covered versus uncovered. It is a whole social programming. I often tell black women, go into public covered. You'd be amazed at what happens. Let me tell y'all something. Our brothers, on a whole, not individually, on a whole, are not part of the social construct. They don't make up any rules in the social construct, none of that. But the other men that make up social construct, there is a dress language that goes on with them. You want to be treated like a goddess? Cover your hair. You'll find that people open doors for you. If you linger for a second, people will open the doors for you. If you are walking properly, you're watching properly, you'll see masons that have masonic rings. They will turn that ring around and assist you because this covering of the head, covering of your knowledge, covering of yourself is a symbolism that other occultists know. Our brothers as a whole are not educated in occultism, period.
You
As a
know what?
whole, not individually.
I was told as a child of Oya that I have to constantly wear a head covering. And I didn't realize people do open up the door. Actually, I find myself opening the door, having a battle like of who's gonna open the door because I'm so used to opening the door and for everybody else, it'll be like no, 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 no. I did not pay attention to that. I'll be like, why are they battling me to open the door? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got it. Go ahead, sir. That's crazy. Wow.
That, that's blessings on them. They know who we are. We don't know who we are. How do I feel about divorce? You got to do what you got to do, sis. um, I don't feel one way or the other about divorce. I know this. Sis, if you're in a bad situation, get out of it. He's not going to change until you change. Yin changes yang. Yang does not change itself. When we have a different way of doing things, yang will do things differently. As if we keep the same old going, yang never changes. So yeah, if you are in a bad situation, get out of it. You're allowed. You're allowed to make a different decision. You're allowed. You're allowed not to heal him. You're allowed to allow him to heal himself. You're allowed not to be his peace, especially when he's tearing you to pieces. You're allowed to retreat, Yin. That's our nature, to retreat. Let him do what he gonna do. You just get out the way. See how that works. Because sometimes they do what they do because you're there. And I say that as a woman that has been married 28 years. And yeah, I almost walked out on mine too. He had to go. He was being young. And bruh, we both understand this philosophy. So what I'm going to let you do is I'm going to let you go do you. I love you. I don't want nothing bad for you. But we have to split ways. And when I let him do with the world, when I kept my promise, he changed. I didn't force him to change. It was just go do you. I'll be over here doing me. Love you. He found me. I wasn't looking for him. I understand. Okay. If they understand, then their behavior changes. They don't understand if behavior has not changed. But him knowing what I know, because we both are students of Tai Chi Chuan, we both are students of this philosophy, you know, he understood where I was coming from. So make him change. Leave.
Hmm. And there's nothing but more constant but thing than change.
Say that.
That's the only thing that's constant in this world is change. So yeah. Shoot.
If you don't change, nothing around you will change. Which is why I wish black folk get up on some of these philosophies. Because if we don't change, the world doesn't change.
Would they say change the way you look at things and the things that you look at will change?
I live in the hood because I want to. I don't live in the hood because I have to. I live in America because I want to, not because I have to. I can go to China and be a freaking superstar. But that's not where my people are. My people are here. So I stay here to be an example for those that are looking for me, because I'm just existing. I'm increasing my knowledge. There are other ways to think other than the ways that we have been indoctrinated.
I wanna ask you a personal question. So I went through a year in white, and I talked about it earlier today when I did my live. And after I got out of that year, because a year in white is a very isolating thing. Even though I was around a bunch of people, I'm sure you've heard the whole story. I was very isolated in that situation because I couldn't really interact with what was going on. Just because of what my circumstances were. And then when I came out of that circumstance, I found myself more isolated, even more for longer. It's almost like that isolation made me become more isolated. And then within that isolation, then now I'm being told something's telling me that I need to, okay, you've been too isolated now. You have to start not being isolated. You got to get outside. Because I have been isolated to the point where it's almost gotten, you know, I don't even want to step outside sometimes or go outside or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know whether that might be depression or what, but I don't even want to be involved. I didn't want to be bothered with people at all. You know.
Hmm.
So what do you say? What is your thoughts on isolation?
We call that going up the mountain. And when you go up the mountain, you are literally going into self for the sake of self. Um, but you got to come down off the mountain. You've got to come down off the mountain at some point in time so that what you learned about yourself on the mountain can be practiced amongst the people. It's one thing to be a hermit. It's one thing to be a hermit on the mountain. And for those of you that do tarot, this is about the hermit card. It's one thing to be the hermit with the light at the top of the mountain, but you can't share that light unless you come down the mountain or somebody comes up the mountain to you. Those that come up the mountain to you are almost due that light. But when you go down the mountain, you can pretty much pick and choose whom you would like to give that light to.
Wow. Hmm. With this whole, I think it sent a lot of people in the because imagine I went through from COVID right into a year in white. I've been isolated for a very long time, and you think and being on this computer is still isolation.
Yes, it is. And it is a construct isolation that you don't even understand the algorithm of yet.
Hmm.
We think that this is outside of this, and it's not. And it's not. It fits right in there. But and let's be honest, Genesis, you do the majority of your socialization through this construct.
Correct.
And a lot of people that you bring into your life because of this construct. So this is proverbially your mountain. It's not like you haven't had success on this mountain. This your mountain. And other people visit your mountain even for their own success, even if it's more than yours. It starts here. And that's something that you have to know about you. I'm sorry. That's something that you have to understand about you.
Mm.
You're a stargate and you don't even know it. And if you put the alcohol down, you'll see it more and more.
Ashe.
Here's where I just hang my head and wait on it.
Hey, truth is the truth, you know?
You make stars. You do. And you need to accept that about yourself. You maintain stars. You need to understand that about yourself. And in some cases, you can't be a star because you're a star maker.
Hmm.
You gotta learn to love your place.
Mm. Well, as you can see, you don't see my face on here.
Touche, pussycat.
You understand what I'm saying? Listen, it's 2:01. I want to hear some final words. This has been a very beautiful build here. You know, I'm gonna, I'm not gonna drink no more alcohol tonight. No, I didn't even drink nothing today. Earlier I had some beer, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just in honor of what the words that came today. I'll drink some more beer tonight, just in honor of Fundi Fe's words and giving reverence to uh the what's it called? The yin, the yang,
Yin yang.
the yang yang,
Hmm.
the yang. Right? That's the female, right?
Yang is male.
Yang. Okay. To give reverence to the yin, I will not. Okay, because I respect the words of wisdom.
We're not
Tomorrow
saying
might
you
be another
can't.
story. Tomorrow might be a whole other story. Now, damn it.
And again, we're not saying you can't. Just moderate it.
Hey,
Just moderate it. Because nobody is going to pull me from my blitches brew. You get on. Move, boy.
right. Hey. I've been moderating. I don't know. I have been moderating. You know, I think that's why I've had success. You know, but and that's with any addiction, you guys. I mean, people that
That's
get up and
right.
smoke weed all day long. That weed all day long, I think it makes people complacent and stuff like that, and all kind of things. We're not gonna get into that, but
Hey,
um,
man, crunchy food is my thing. It's just a thing. Crunchy food is my thing.
right. You know, hey, I like the crunch ice, which is fucking my teeth up. So it could be anything you overdo, anything you do too much. Hey, you know. So, but the thing is you see, the work that I've done within myself allows me to take that criticism and not get offended by it, try to like argue with it. It's like you're right. I say power to your words, sister. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
And that's the growth
why,
that
thank
people need to start doing. And through these avenues, does help you to find growth. Not saying that you can't find growth through these other things, but I believe that we should expand our minds. This is a whole new day and age. There's new technologies coming out, and there's things that explain these things beyond just the old stories that we can read in one book. We have to we have to be advanced enough to expand ourselves beyond what we already know. If you already know that book, go outside of that book and explore the world because there's a lot to learn about here. That's my little thing on a soapbox speech. Fundi, I'm gonna let you have the last final words, and I want you to say at the end, DJ, take us out. Final words.
I implore male and female to study themselves, study an outside philosophy. Go find something else to study. And when I say study, I mean another way of thinking. We have to get a world view before we can get a true personal view. If people are force feeding you something, there is a reason for it.
Mm.
Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody cares. If we as women do not save ourselves, the whole species is lost. I need us to regard ourselves as we regard everybody else, and everything will fall in line. Be good to yourself, and you will be good to others. And you are not allowed to leave here until you have scored one good one for humanity. DJ Genesis, aka DJ such and such, take us on out.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright from darkness to light.